A recent MIT study found that 95% of AI projects fail. That means if you're building something right now, there's a very good chance that you won't be successful. It sounds pretty scary, right? Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Kia and I've implemented dozens of AI projects over the past couple of years. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why most AI projects fail. And I'll even give you some actionable tips that, if implemented correctly, will significantly increase your chances of success. That said, let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Now, the biggest reason why most AI projects fail is that they don't actually solve a real problem. It seems as if when it comes to AI products and AI projects, people just forget about the fundamentals of business. Business fundamentals say that someone will only want to pay you money if you were to actually solve a real problem for them. Because if you're not actually solving a problem for them, then what sort of ROI are they actually getting from paying you that money? What is the return that they get instead? Nothing. And so when it comes to building AI projects, it's very important that you diagnose the problem before you try and build the solution to it. Because if you just go and start thinking back from AI capabilities and saying, okay, well, RAG seems really cool, let me build something for this company with RAG, even if they don't actually need RAG, well, what will happen is they wouldn't actually see any return on investment from that project. And so technically that project would be a waste of their resources and it will be deemed as an unsuccessful project. Let me give you a simple example so you can fully understand this. Let's say I'm someone that hates cleaning my house and my house was super dirty. My problem in this instance is that my house is dirty and it needs to be cleaned. Now, a business that sells cleaning services can come in and clean my house. And so because they're solving my problem, which is the house being dirty, I'm willing to pay them money. So the return on investment that I'm getting from paying them money is that my house is being cleaned. But once they've come in and they've cleaned my house, I don't actually have that problem anymore. And so if another cleaning company tried to come in and tell me that they'll clean my house for me, I wouldn't want to do it because I don't actually have that problem anymore. And so it doesn't actually bring any return on investment for me to go and hire another cleaning service once my house is already clean. So when you're talking to businesses, what you should always be doing is first figuring out what problems they actually have and then figuring out how AI can help solve those problems for them. But what you'll find once you try and do this in practice is that only a small subset of business problems can actually be solved with AI. And so although AI is this awesome new technology that everyone's going crazy over, it doesn't mean that it can solve every single problem inside a business. And it also doesn't mean that if you implement it inside a business without actually solving a problem, it will bring positive ROI. And so what you should always be doing is first figuring out what the real problems are and then trying to build a solution that actually solves those problems with or without AI. Now, this brings us to the second reason why a lot of AI projects fail. And that's the fact that most people are focusing on sales and marketing automations. Now, sales and marketing automations are awesome. And honestly, the majority of the solutions that we actually sell out of our agency is sales and marketing automations. And the reason why that's the case is that sales and marketing solutions have very tangible, positive ROI for businesses. So for example, if you were to go pitch a business that if they pay you $10,000 for a lead generation solution, you'd make them $50,000 within 6 months, well, then the business will easily see the ROI in that solution. And because every single business always wants to get more leads and get more customers, they will be interested in actually paying you to build out this solution. Now, if we compare this to a back office solution, like some sort of admin automation, the business can't really see the positive ROI tangibly straight away, unless the automation directly allows them to lay off 2 or 3 staff members. And because they can't actually see that tangible positive ROI, they're not going to be as attracted to going with these solutions as much as they are with these solutions. But the reality also is that generally small and medium-sized businesses prefer sales and marketing solutions over back office solutions, whereas big enterprises prefer back office solutions over sales and marketing solutions. Because for big enterprises, they got a lot of headcount, and for them, they can actually see the tangible ROI for you to automate some sort of admin task straight away. Whereas with small and medium-sized businesses, they usually want to grow, and because they want to grow, they want to implement AI and automation solutions that will get them more customers. And if you were to come in and pitch them that they'll 5x their investment by making more money, not just saving money, within just a few months, well, they're going to be very likely to want to go ahead. And that's why most of the solutions that you see implemented into businesses today are sales and marketing solutions. But this doesn't mean that you should just go and try and sell sales and marketing solutions as well. Because the reality is sales and marketing solutions are very hard to execute. If you want to automate a marketing process and actually get real ROI from that automation, then you have to know that marketing process back to front. If you know nothing about running ads, but now suddenly because someone told you that you can build an N8N solution to automate advertisement, you suddenly go and try and offer this to small and medium-sized businesses, well, it's very likely that the automation you build won't actually bring any real results because you don't actually even know how to run ads yourself. And so I'd only recommend building out marketing or sales solutions if you actually know how to market and how to sell. If you don't, then don't try and do it because the solutions you build won't actually work. And the fact that the ROI is actually tangible within itself is a scary thing about sales and marketing solutions. Because if you promise the business that they'll make an extra 50K in 6 months, they can very easily track that and see whether that actually happened or not. And so in 6 months time, they can come back and be like, you told us we'll make 50K. We've only made 5K. Give us our money back. Well, in that instance, then you're in trouble. And so to sum that up, although sales and marketing solutions are easier to sell, they're harder to execute on and they're harder to get real results. And so I wouldn't recommend for everyone to go and start building out sales and marketing solutions. I'd only recommend it to those people that actually know how to sell or actually know how to market and now want to grab that process that already works and automate parts of it and offer it to businesses as a solution and as a service. Overhyping AI capabilities is the next reason why most AI projects are deemed as failures. The reality is that we live in a world full of hype. Everyone's trying to overhype AI capabilities and make it seem a lot better than it actually is at any given point in time. And that's why when most business owners go to actually implement AI solutions, they have unrealistic expectations as to what AI can actually achieve their business. And so when you consult the typical entrepreneur, their goal is to automate an entire department, or even better, automate their entire business right away. They think that they're going to deploy 3 or 4 AI agents, and autonomously those agents are literally going to handle everything inside their business. So what they think is that once they hire you and you build them a couple of projects, they can literally fire half their staff members, book a one-way ticket to Hawaii, and go and sip cocktails for the rest of their life. But the reality is very different to their expectations. Because in reality, fully autonomous agents just aren't a thing yet. If you do build fully autonomous agents, they might work 8 out of 10 times, but 2 out of 10 times they won't work. And who wants an employee that won't do the right thing 2 out of 10 times? Especially if that employee is handling very sensitive tasks and is customer facing. Now, it's not just AI capabilities that are not there. There's also a lot of things regarding AI security and AI risks that don't allow for us to build fully autonomous agents, even if we could actually do that. That's why your job as an AI consultant is to say no a lot more times than you say yes. You're literally hired to tell them no. They're going to come up with all these crazy ideas, and you're the person that literally has to sit there and say, no, this is a crappy idea. No, this would not work. Do not invest your money or time into trying to build this unrealistic solution. But most so-called AI consultants don't actually do this, not because they want to make the sale, but because they lack expertise. We unfortunately live in a world where literally any 15-year-old can watch 2 YouTube videos and claim that they can build AI solutions that will bring 300-400x ROI. We unfortunately live in a world where literally any 15-year-old kid can watch 2 YouTube videos and suddenly claim that they're an AI expert and they can build solutions that will make businesses tens of thousands of dollars. But although all of this might work from a marketing perspective to actually get clients to pay you, it wouldn't work from an implementation perspective. Because as I said, when it comes to implementing solutions, the fundamentals of business always exist. If you're not solving a real problem, or you're not solving that problem in the best possible way, then you're not actually going to see any ROI from implementation. And that's what's built this bad stigma around AI projects and AI implementation. A lot of people that know nothing about AI, but just want to make quick money. People that were literally following the last trend 2 years ago, and now they're following this trend. And once this trend is over, they're going to follow the next trend. But the reality is, if you want to actually build successful AI projects, invest some time into learning first. Don't just think that because you know how to market and you know how to sell, you can suddenly build AI solutions that are going to make you billions of dollars. Spend a little bit of time to actually understand what AI is, how it works, what its current capabilities are, where it's going in the future, and most important of all, what its current limitations are. Because trust me when I say this, without those expertise, you're going to struggle. So I'm not saying go back to computer science school and spend 3 or 4 years on a CS degree. All I'm saying is spend some time to actually understand the technology and understand where it's at and understand how you can use it to implement real solutions into businesses. Don't listen to the people that say they can make X amount of money without knowing anything about AI. Invest time to actually learning your craft. Now, I'm personally very passionate about this next problem. If you work with smaller businesses and especially startups, you'll find that they'll always request to automate a process that they've never done before. And this by far is the biggest mistake a business can make when it comes to building AI automation solutions. Because if you think about it, an automation is basically you just automating a manual SOP or a manual process within a business. So for example, if you automate customer onboarding inside a business, well then what you're doing is you're technically automating the manual manual process that they did before for customer onboarding, so that now instead of them having to do it, AI and automation does it. But the big critical point here is that the automation will only ever be as good as the SOP itself. You can't have a really crappy onboarding process, but expect that now because you automated it using AI, it's going to become the best onboarding process in the world. That's a really, really big mistake that I see a lot of people make, especially when it comes to sales and marketing automations. Businesses always come to me to automate a sales and marketing process that they've never done before. They don't even know if that specific marketing channel is a good channel for them to get leads. And their excuse is always that they don't have time. They don't have time to do it, so they want you to automate it so the automation can do it for them and scale it up. But what they don't understand is that if that sales and marketing channel or that methodology to do sales and marketing doesn't work manually, then it will 100% not work when it's automated. And so what I always tell these people is first do it manually, prove it works. Once you've proved it works, then I'll come and I'll automate it for you. Because what will happen otherwise is I'll automate this process and then they'll come back to me and say, but we didn't get any leads. And guess what I'll say in that instance? Well, that's your problem, because all I did is I automated this process that you said for me to automate. And so although they try and blame us, the reality is that it's their fault because they didn't confirm that this specific process would actually work and would actually bring them ROI. And if you think about it, it's a lot easier to iterate on a manual process than it is to iterate on an automation. Because once you've actually developed the automation, if they now want to change it because it didn't actually work, it's going to cost them thousands of dollars because they're going to have to go back and change all the logic. Whereas if they did it manually first, they would have found out that it doesn't work and they would have easily been able to change their methodology and iterate to something that does work. And that way they would have saved themselves thousands of dollars and months of wasted time. So don't forget, guys, the automation is only as good as the process that it's actually automating. So please make sure that the process is good before you try to automate it. Now, this next problem is one that almost every single business will deal with once they try and implement AI automation solutions. And that's employee pushback that comes from misaligned goals between executives and employees. Let me explain what I mean. When it comes to implementing AI projects, the executive team are very, very interested in implementing AI because they want to make more money. Whereas the employees are very skeptical about AI and they don't want the company to onboard it. And honestly, they have all the right in the world to do this because they're worried about their job. Because they know that the executive team is trying to implement AI to replace these employees. And so what often happens is these employees push back and they don't want the company to actually onboard these AI solutions because they want to make sure that they keep their job inside the company and they also keep their job relevant and important inside the company. Now, what happens as an AI developer when you come and work with this company to build AI solutions for them is that the executive team will hire you and pay you money to build the solution, but you actually have to talk to the frontline employees to be able to build out this solution. Because the frontline employees are the people that deal with the SOP every single day. And they know the SOP a lot better than the executive team. So technically, you need the frontline employees to help you build out this project. And without the support of the relevant employees, it's almost impossible for you to build out a project that actually works. Now, I'm sure you can imagine what would happen if the employees don't want the AI automation solution to be successful. Well, what they're going to do is they're not going to respond to you on time. They're not going to give you proper answers. They're going to leave out important bits of information on purpose for you to not be successful in implementing AI inside their specific department. And so as a developer, you're in a very tricky situation because the executive team is going to look to you to provide that ROI and build a real solution, but you are in turn dependent on someone else to help you implement that solution successfully. And so if the employees don't help you and you're not able to build a really good solution, what will happen is the executive team will just think that you're a bad AI developer and that your solutions aren't good. And let me tell you this, it's very awkward to tell the executive team that their employees are messing about with you, because the reality is that they have good relationships with their employees and they want to ensure that their employees are happy. And you are the external person in this situation. So it's kind of rude for you to go and say bad things about their employees to the executive team. You don't actually know whether they'll take it the right way. And that's exactly why clear ownership is extremely important when it comes to building out these AI automation projects in businesses. In the ideal world, you'd have one person inside one specific department that that is your go-to for all of your questions. And then the business and the executive team will incentivize this one employee for him or her to actually help the developer in building out the project. So this employee feels as if they're actually a part of the dev team and they feel responsible for the success of the project. Only in that scenario, you'll be able to overcome all the back and forth with employees that just don't want you to succeed. And that's why when we implement AI solutions to businesses, we always try and make sure that they have one person or maybe two people that we predominantly communicate with for all of our problems. You don't want the problem to be across 5 different departments. And inside each department, you have to talk to 20 different people because you're literally just going to get stuck in politics. And if that happens, the quoted project that was meant to finish in 2 months will end up finishing in 20 months. And the business won't actually see the ROI in a timely manner. And so they will probably be very unhappy with your work inside their business. So you never want to be stuck in a scenario where everyone's pointing at each other. And you definitely do not want to be stuck in a scenario where the employees are sabotaging the AI project. So always make sure that there's clear ownership and make sure that the person that's responsible for the success of the project internally within the business is incentivized for that project to succeed. Because if they just see it as another task or another chore that's been dropped off from the executive team, they're not going to put enough effort for you to actually build that solution successfully. Because as a developer, you know nothing about a business's internal SOPs. You have to come in and talk to the right people to understand what the SOP actually looks like so you can build an automation that actually fulfills the need of that business. So ownership is extremely important. Please make sure that you communicate this with the business up front and identify one person as the clear owner of the project internally. Now, the next problem is market resistance. And this one's a little bit more related to AI startups and AI products than it is to AI projects. The reality is that we live in a world where a lot of people are still very skeptical about AI. And so convincing them to invest money in building out an AI automation solution or for them to buy an AI product off you might be a little bit difficult. But it's not going to stay this difficult forever. Just like all technological advancements in the past, eventually people will start to feel comfortable with this new technology and they will have to adapt if they want to compete. So this is a problem that will kind of solve itself over time. But there is also a technical side to this problem as well. And that's the fact that there's still a lot of privacy, security, and even legal concerns when it comes to implementing AI. And so honestly, you can't blame people for being skeptical. My hope is that with regulations and advancements in AI capabilities, these concerns will get smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually they go away. Well, I'm not sure if they'll fully go away, but I hope at least they become a lot smaller than they are today. I recently read a statistic that 45% of enterprise AI projects fail because of data failures. Now, if you're from a technical background, you understand that data is extremely critical when it comes to AI implementation. Because if you think about it, AI as a whole is just a model that we fed a whole bunch of data to, and now based off that data, it's able to answer our questions and talk to us. And so when it comes to building out AI solutions, a company's data is what we're using to turn these broad generalist AI tools into specialized AI solutions. And so it's really important when you're talking to enterprises that you know exactly how they handle their data and who in the company is responsible for that task. Because if you're building out solutions that require for you to actually tap into that company's data and they have poor data quality or they don't have a good data strategy or they just don't manage their data properly, then you're going to spend a ton of time figuring out how to access good high quality data to make the solution work. And if you don't have those expertise in-house, well, then you're going to be in trouble. So if you're working with bigger businesses, make sure you understand data and know how it's meant to be used in the context of the solution that you're offering. That brings us to the next problem, which is more of a strategy problem than an implementation problem. And that's the fact that AI consultants and AI developers chase short-term gains over long-term ROI. Here's what I mean. When you do discovery for a business and you build them an AI roadmap of the next 5 or 10 projects that they should build in sequence to maximize their ROI, instead of focusing on the biggest project first, you should be focusing on the quick wins first. So what I always say is always try to optimize for quick and high ROI, which means how can we get the most amount of ROI in the least amount of time? Now, if you guys don't know how to do this, I've made a video on exactly how you can build an AI roadmap that will maximize the ROI that a business gets from AI implementation. The general process is that we first filter SOPs and then we rank them based based off ease and speed and value to categorize them as quick wins, long-term projects, nice to haves, and waste of times. And based off the score that they get on this ROI analysis matrix, we then decide which one we should do first, which one we should do second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth. I'll link that video in the description down below, so go and check it out. So as I was saying, the idea is that you want to start small, or basically start with quick wins first. Quick wins are projects that will bring a lot of ROI, but are also very easy to implement, so you can implement them quickly so the business can see that tangible ROI quickly. And so if the business can see that ROI straight away, they will actually trust you more as a developer, and they will be more patient to achieve ROI for the bigger projects that you can go to next. So your goal shouldn't be to try and make the most amount of money in the short term. It should be to maximize the client's ROI in the long term by starting small and then scaling up from there. Because don't forget, guys, automation is a sticky business, and if you can actually gain a business's trust, then they'll get you to automate many processes inside their business. So if you want to build that long-term relationship, the key is to start small and scale from there. Don't go for a 6 or 12-month project right away, because the business won't see any ROI, and they will probably lose their patience and not trust you enough to want to keep investing. And at some point, they'll probably pull the plug on the project. So start small and then scale up from there. So now let's sum it all up with 7 key takeaways that will significantly increase your chances of building successful AI projects. Number 1, you should always go from problem to solution, not from solution to problem. So your main goal when you're doing discovery with a client is to first identify a real problem. Because if you can identify a real problem, you're already 50% of the way there to ROI. Next, all you have to do is build a solution to solve that problem using AI. The next key takeaway is to build real expertise. Invest in learning first. I know that if you guys are just starting out, you obviously want to start making money as soon as possible, but it's really, really important that you actually know what you're talking about when you talk to clients. A big portion of the learning will happen as you talk to more and more clients over time, but it's important that you at least know some fundamental things before you start talking to clients, especially around what AI capabilities are and what AI limitations are. Because your goal as a consultant and developer for a business is to actually solve their problems, not just sell them solutions that they don't need. And to identify those problems and design the correct solutions, you have to know what you're talking about. So please invest a little bit of time on upskilling yourself in AI and automation. Next, it's very important for you to set realistic expectations. When business owners come to talk to you, they probably have super unrealistic expectations about AI. As an expert in the field, your job is to tell them no. Your job is to tell them this is the reality and this is the current capabilities. And given these current capabilities, this is the best possible opportunity for AI implementation in your business. So when it comes to building out these AI projects, always under promise and over deliver. Next, it's really important that you make sure the process is good before you actually automate it. Because as I said, if the process itself is bad, then there's no way that your automation will bring positive ROI. Be very careful of automating solutions to businesses if they haven't tested it and proven that it works first. The next key takeaway is to always ensure there's clear ownership inside the business when it comes to building out the AI project. Make sure you know exactly who your point of contact inside the business is, and make sure that they're incentivized to want to help you build out these projects. Then the final takeaway, which I believe is the most important of all, is to think long term by starting small and scaling from there. Do these 7 things and you'll be much more likely to implement successful AI projects. Now, if you guys are serious about the AI opportunity, I'd definitely recommend joining my accelerator program. The AI Automation Accelerator is a daily accountability course that will get you to not only launch your AI agency, but also become an AI automation expert within just 28 days. Now, I know that sounds like a big claim, but as I said, it's an accelerator program and it's made only for the people that are very serious about the AI opportunity. So if that sounds like you, I'd love to see you in there. Now, as always, I hope you guys found this video valuable. If you did find this video valuable, I'd really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below. But otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.